it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. Chargers, Saints. That was a hell of a football game. Overtime had to settle the score, 30-27. The Chargers fall again. They talked about this Chargers team not getting it done in close games. This has always been an Achilles heel of this Chargers organization, whether it's injuries or close losses. I remember having a conversation with my man Craig, and we used to talk about their field goal kicking situation, and he used to talk to me about Michael Badgley all the time, and he said, he's the money badger, and he trademarked the name, and this is the guy that's going to take over the kicking position for us and clean it up, and we won't have any more issues. Well, Michael Badgley caused this loss for the Chargers. All right, he was the sole reason they don't win this game. He misses an extra point. You know, if you score that extra point, you force the Saints at some point in this game to have to go for two. Maybe they don't get it, but forget about that. You get down there with 8 seconds left, and you've got an opportunity to bang home a 50-yarder to win the game. You want to trademark a damn name, make the kick, okay? And so, what a play by Mike Williams. God damn, he's good at getting those 50-50 balls. Or as I like to call them, BFGs, ball fragment grabs, where he just puts his nutsack on somebody's helmet, goes and gets it. And poor Marshon Lattimore, he made up for it late with that tackle to save the game, but boy, was he funky tonight. I mean, he struggled recently, and I remember when he was one of my favorite corners in this league, and I thought that this guy was going to be the next big thing at the cornerback position. He struggled over the last year or so, and he hasn't been sharp this year either, and he got his ass whooped thoroughly tonight on a consistent basis. He made a tackle late, though, to preserve the victory, and so the Saints survive. This is not the Saints that we thought we were getting when this season started, however. But again, no Michael Thomas. I refuse to judge this team because nobody in the NFC plays defense. So I'm not going to kill the Saints for just blending in with everybody else like Seattle or Green Bay or any of these teams, Tampa. Even though I think Tampa plays a little bit of defense. We've talked about that, but it's hard to really gauge them either because I'm not quite sure. They haven't played the greatest competition, but when I look at the landscape of the NFC, nobody plays any defense around here. So I'm not going to kill the Saints for giving up, a boatload of points. They gave up, 29 last week to Detroit, another 27 here. I'm not going to kill them for doing that at all because that's what is seems to be the way that the NFC teams conduct themselves. That's how business is conducted in the NFC side of the bracket, where defense is optional. So I'm going to wait to judge them because their offense still doesn't look all the way right. But I'm not going to judge them until they get their number one wide receiver back in Michael Thomas. And when he stops punching teammates in the face, then we can kind of get back to judging this team off of what the strength is supposed to be, which is their offense. We know they got Alvin Kamara. What a catch that he made down the sidelines to put them in a position to even have a chance to force overtime in this football game. And what a play down the field by Justin Herbert to throw that football up. And first of all, before we even get to Marshon Lattimore, what the hell is Dennis Allen doing in that situation anyway? 15 seconds left on the clock. You're looking to force this game to go to OT. Why would you even put your defense, who has struggled mightily to keep guys in front of them tonight, why would you even put them in a situation where there's not clear and obvious safety help over the top? I just don't understand that. I don't understand. And not like Marshon Lattimore wasn't in great coverage. He was right there. He located the ball. He tried to make a play, and that ball was just in the perfect spot. And Mike Williams, instead of letting it come to him, he went up and got it at its highest peak. So it was just perfect execution all the way around, and then you have your kicker miss the kick and doesn't give you a chance to win the football game. That's just sickening if you're a Chargers fan, and it's a narrative and a story that you've seen play out far too many times. You know the movie. You know how it ends already. All you got to do is stick it back in the VCR and rewind it over again. And yes, we're talking about a VCR and VHS because at some point you're tired of being kind and rewinding this movie over and over again. All right, you need a new narrative. These close games are absolutely killing you. And I remember Chargers fans came after me 2 years ago. Because remember, 3 years ago, they had that year when they exploded. It might have been 2 years ago when they were outstanding, and they went 13-3. I think it was 2 years ago, because it was Lamar Jackson's rookie season. They went to Baltimore and won, so it was 2 years ago that they were 13-3, I think it was, or 12-4, one or the other. They just missed out on winning the division because of Kansas City. That was the first year of Mahomes kind of going nuts, and they made it to the postseason. And they won a bunch of close games that year. And I remember saying to the Chargers fans the following year when I made my prediction, and I said that the Chargers were going to be, I think I said they were going to be a 7-9 team. A lot of Chargers fans were upset at me. You don't know what you're talking about. That's in the past. We're past that now. We're a different team. We got a new kicker. We've turned the page. And it's the same things continuing to ill this team in close ball games. They don't know how to win. And I hope that this isn't the case, but eventually the vitriol and the venom is going to then turn to the head coach. And I actually love Anthony Lynn. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. He can't help the injuries, and he can't help that his kicker doesn't make a kick here, or somehow, some way they manage to be on the short end of these. But at some point, the finger is going to start pointing to him, and he's going to be the culprit. And they're going to end up moving on from him. And it's a shame, because I actually think he's doing a really good job. And I said this before this game started, but I thought the Chargers were much better than their record reflects. They're now a 1-4 team after this loss. And every single one of these losses, for the most part, have been nailed by. They could be 0-5. They could have easily lost to the Bengals in week 1. I mean, that was a close game, 16-13, missed field goal by their kicker, gave the Chargers that win. So they were on the right side of a close game. But after that, it's been close loss after close loss. You go to Kansas City, or you have Kansas City come to your place in week 2. The following week after that, you lose to Carolina in a game that was, to me, inexcusable. You got to find a way to beat the Panthers in that game, but you let that one slip through your fingers. And then last week, another close ball game. You're right there toe-to-toe with the Buccaneers. Tom Brady going against a rookie, and he's going toe-to-toe with Brady, makes a mistake late in that ball game, but I put that on the Chargers defense. Your offense spots you a 17-point lead, including a pick six that helped you build a 24-7 lead. You got to find a way to hold on to that thing. And they just quickly gave it up, 21 unanswered points. And yeah, you'd like the offense to maybe stop the bleeding somehow as well. But shit, they had done enough to build a 17-point lead on the road. You'd like to see the defense some way, somehow stop hemorrhaging points there. They weren't able to do that. And then Justin Herbert says, all right, we're going to step in and do something. Takes the lead 31-28. They give up the touchdown right there. Bing, bang, boom. Scotty Miller in the end zone. It's 35-31. Ultimately tack on a field goal, win that game 38-31. So this team seems to not know how to get it done. And obviously tonight, they haven't had a loss by more than 7 points this season. And that's frustrating, because this team, I think, is good enough to compete in the AFC, as is, with Justin Herbert. With all the injuries, I still think this team is good enough to compete with some of the better teams in that conference, and yet the record doesn't reflect that. And so it's tough when you lose these types of ball games, but until you find a way to win, you're going to continue to lose these types of games. And that's the way the cookie crumbles in this league. I told you there's a fine line between 6-10 and 10-6. They're trending towards 6-10 this year because they can't win the close ball games. On the other end of that spectrum, somebody's going to go 10-6, and they're going to have the same story as the Chargers, except they came out on top of some of these close ball games, and they found a way to get it done. And right now, the difference between the team that won this game and the Saints, and the team that lost this game in the Chargers, is that the Saints are a veteran ball club that knows how to win these types of games, and they get it done. Meanwhile, and they actually made every wrong move late. Did the Saints? They tried to give this game to the Chargers, and they simply couldn't get it done. It's a shame, because, again, I don't know if the better team won this game. Now, Michael Thomas inserted into the lineup, different team, probably a different result. And this game may not even be as close as it was. But without him in the lineup, I don't know if the better team necessarily won tonight. At times, I felt like the Chargers were the better team. They were up 20-3 and looked like they were ready to run these guys out of the building at one point. Before getting that score before halftime, getting the ball after halftime, they got stopped. But you could see the tide kind of turning. They get the field goal to cut it to 7 and 20-13. I knew it was only a matter of time before they hawked them. And in my mind, I thought, once they got even, they're going to leave them. Even leaving. And I credit the Chargers, because, until that deep ball to Mike Williams, I thought they were going to lose this game 23-20 or 27-20. I thought they were going to lose this football game late and they ultimately got it done. You know, they give up the big play to the Saints, to Mike Williams down the sidelines. Again, inexcusable coverage there by Patrick Robinson. And again, the Saints, so many busted coverages, so many mistakes tonight, and they could have easily lost this game, but they found a way to get it done. They're now 3-2 on the season, which is huge because in that division, you know, you got the 3-2 Bucks, but now you got the 3-2 Panthers. It's not just a two-team race anymore. You got to actually give some credit to the Panthers, and you got to actually respect what they're doing and acknowledge the fact that they're not just going to go away. They're finding ways to be competitive. They're finding ways to win. And now they're in the mix in that division all of a sudden. So they needed this one badly. They needed this one in the worst way. And now with Tampa staring at Green Bay, see, New Orleans is saying, look, we may have lost, but we already got our Green Bay out of the way. Now they got to deal with Green Bay next week. And if they don't get that done, now they're 3-3, and they could be behind both Carolina and New Orleans, depending on what's going on. Saints are going to be on the bye. So regardless of what happens, they're sitting pretty. Whether the Buccaneers take care of business or not, they're going to be right there, ready to strike. Whether they're in first place at 3-2, or they're in second place behind Carolina if they go 4-2, or behind the Buccaneers, or if they are in first place. They're going to be right there. You know, whether they're in first or third, doesn't make any difference to them. They're sitting where they need to be sitting after starting the season off 1-2, running off 2 straight victories and getting back over 500 to 3-2 heading into their bye week. And they're going to get a healthy Michael Thomas back, and they're going to be a team to reckon with, I contend, in the NFC. This is a big win tonight. Alvin Kamara, pretty quiet night for him until that big catch down the sidelines. I've been talking about Emmanuel Sanders for quite some time and how he had to step up for this football team. Especially in the absence of Michael Thomas. He needed to be the guy that stepped up. And I thought that they had an interesting quote from him earlier in the season when he first got there and he was lining up in the wrong places. And Michael Thomas said, dude, what are you doing? And he said, man, you got to chill, bro. I just got here. You've been in this office for 5 years. I just got here. I had no OTAs, no minis, barely any training camp. Like, cut me some slack, man. And because I told you, he looked lost early in the season. He was a non-factor. He wasn't even getting targets, let alone being an integral part of this offense. And I'm thinking to myself, with all of the struggles of this offense and no Michael Thomas, you would think this is the guy they got to lean on. And now it makes a lot of sense. He had to figure out some things. He had to feel his way around this offense. And I just thought in my mind, he's a veteran. Been in a bunch of different offenses, can pick up the terminology quickly. He's going to assimilate fast. So I didn't think that he needed time to adapt, but it's a different offense. And yeah, despite him being a veteran, he still needs those reps. And so it took him a little while, but now he's comfortable. And he had over 100 yards receiving. He was the go-to guy tonight. And that's what they're going to need. And it's going to make, I think, I said the same thing about the Panthers in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. It's going to make them a stronger ball club offensively when he comes back and they realize we don't just have to rely on Christian McCaffrey. He doesn't have to be 80% of our offense anymore. We got Robbie Anderson. We got Mike Davis. We got Curtis Samuel. We got DJ Moore. We can spread the wealth around. We don't have to focus in on Christian McCaffrey all the time. And I think the Saints are going to benefit from Michael Thomas being out, because had he been in the lineup this whole time, it would have stunted the growth of an Emmanuel Sanders, because Drew Brees wouldn't have been looking for him in crucial, critical third down situations. He'd be looking for 13. That's who he's always looking for. So now when Michael Thomas comes back, he's going to now have another guy opposite of him that he can go to. And in addition, he'll have Jared Cook and he'll have Alvin Kamara and he'll have Traquan Smith and some of these other guys that, you know, every now and again that can jump up and bite you. But I think it's going to serve this offense well when Thomas comes back, that now Emmanuel Sanders is becoming a much bigger part of what they're doing. I'll tell you this, though. I'm not a big fan of this Taysom Hill stuff in these crucial situations, taking Drew Brees off the field in exchange for Taysom Hill. It worked at the end of regulation when they got the touchdown to tie the ball game up or cut it to a 1-point game at 27-26. But I'm not a big fan of this. And look, when it works, no one's going to question him. But when it doesn't, like in overtime, when he came in on a second down, I don't really subscribe to that. You're taking Drew Brees off the field. He's getting into a rhythm. You're moving the football down the field. Don't take Drew Brees off the field for Taysom Hill. And he's had some issues with turnovers this year. Don't take Drew Brees off the field for Taysom Hill in that situation. You want to take Drew Brees off the field in the first or the second quarter? Hell, I'd even go for it in the third quarter. Once we get to the fourth quarter and in the overtime, no, we're not taking Drew Brees off the field for Taysom Hill. But again, Sean Payton is going to do what Sean Payton wants. It worked tonight, so not a lot of people are going to give him any pushback. I'm just not a major fan of Taysom Hill coming in some of these critical situations in the ball game. I think they need to rethink that, kind of strategy because, again, when he comes in, I'm not looking for Taysom Hill to throw the football. If I'm defending, he's gonna have to beat me with his arm, and I don't think he's capable of doing that. So I'm gonna force him to throw it. I'm gonna key in on him as a runner. Force him to do something other than run the football. I'm not going to leave a guy wide open, but I'm going to tell my guys, be on alert for the run and really look to get after him and also look to get the football out. I thought he fumbled in the overtime carry that he had. And I was looking, I saw guys scrambling kind of, that mad dash scramble you see when the ball's on the ground. I thought I saw that, but I guess I didn't. So I don't really subscribe to that notion of putting him in these crucial situations, but again, it worked tonight. They get the win, 30-27 in overtime. Get to 3-2. Chargers, another tough, heartbreaking defeat as they now drop to 1-4 on the season. I actually thought that the injury to Keenan Allen hurt them big time because he was having a good game, had the touchdown on the opening possession of the game, I thought he was poised for a big game tonight, especially with the way that the Saints were struggling in the secondary. He could have had a big night tonight, and that injury really hurt them. But it didn't stop them from scoring points. They continued to score despite him being out of this ball game relatively early. I thought the backs having to pick up the slack for Austin Eckler and his injury. I thought Justin Jackson played well tonight. The young kid out of UCLA, I thought he did some good things. I thought they, these young kids, Guyton and all of these guys Guyton getting over the top like he did against Tampa last week, almost had a touchdown. If he could stay on his feet, he would have walked in the end zone. Like, they're finding ways to get it done with some of these guys that aren't household names. This has always been the Chargers. Whether you go all the way back to when Rivers was there and he was throwing the football to Dontrell Inman and guys like that, they've always figured out a way. With all the injuries, they've been having injuries, mass injuries, for years. And back in the San Diego days and now in the LA, they've been having injuries for years and having to figure it out. And they always seem to find these guys, these unheralded guys that come in and become household names for them. And Guyton seems to be on that list. Jalen Guyton seems to be a guy that's going to continue to make plays, and he can run. We see that now. He can get vertical, and this is 2 weeks in a row. Teams are going to have to start taking notice of him because he's finding ways to get vertical behind the defense. So I thought Herbert was outstanding tonight. Before we get to your comments, I thought Justin Herbert was fantastic tonight. This guy's ability to just keep cool, calm, and collected in the face of pressure. He got drilled a couple of times, still got rid of the football. They need to protect him better. I do know that. I hate when I see these young quarterbacks taking this abuse. Joe Burrow is taking a beating in Cincinnati, and I think Herbert is taking a little bit of a beating here with the Chargers. But this guy can escape the pocket. He's so calm under pressure. Nothing seems to rattle his cage. We talked about, and they even talked about it on the telecast. This was the thing, the whole Marcus Mariota, Oregon laid-back demeanor. Is that going to cut it? I think he was one of those guys that really was hurt and penalized by Marcus Mariota not succeeding in the NFL because he came from Oregon. And a lot of people saw the same kind of demeanor in Justin Herbert that we saw in Mariota, and it didn't seem to bode well at the next level. And I think he was penalized for that. I think people beat him up for that. But I think it's that same unflappable, calm demeanor, that Eli Manning, stoic in the face of pressure, I'm good, it doesn't matter, type of charisma and aura that he has that keeps him calm in these certain situations. Like the end of the game, that throw to Mike Williams, that wasn't an easy throw. That was tight coverage. That ball was exactly where it had to be. Are you kidding me? Man, was that a gutsy throw. And for him to put it where it was, for Mike to go up and get it, that's big boy football. He deserved a win tonight. He deserved a win. Herbert deserved to win this football game. He played well enough to win. It's a shame he doesn't get a win in the left-hand column after tonight's ball game. He was fantastic. On the bright lights and big stage of Monday night, first time he's been exposed to a national audience, I thought he handled himself like an 8-year pro. Thought he handled himself like a guy that's going to be a good one for a really long time. And this is why I said a week ago on the podcast before Anthony Lynn made the announcement that this guy was going to be their starter for the rest of the season. I said, how can you keep this guy out of the lineup after watching him these last 3 weeks? I know you don't have a win. You wouldn't have won those games with Tyrod Taylor. You might have even gotten blown out in one or two of those games with Tyrod Taylor under center. You're not losing games because of this kid. You're in games with a chance to win because of this kid. How can you sit him down? And Anthony Lynn said, you know what? You're right. I'm not going to sit him down because he gives us the best chance to win. And you saw it again tonight. They should have won this game. He looks like he's the real deal. So with that said, let's get to the comment section. Remember, if you're brand new to the channel, welcome first and foremost. Make sure that you subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. But more importantly, all right, make sure that you use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If it is pertinent, I'll read it. So use the hashtag LouieTLive if you have something to say and you want it read on the air. We have got 39 minutes left of program, so I'm going to get in as many of these comments as we can, and we'll run through these quickly. Juan Gotti talking sports. LA has themselves something in Justin, and I know you're hyped. Your Braves took care of business. Am I ever? I was so glad that this game went to extra innings. This game went to overtime because we were in the ninth inning in a close ball game. It was 1-1 heading to the ninth, and then we took care of business. But you're right. And you being a Washington fan, it hurts watching games like this because this is all we want. We just want a young guy to call our own. You know, I'm jealous. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm jealous. I want one of these so bad. We wanted Dwayne to be this guy, and he's not. He's not Justin Herbert. We've never seen this from Dwayne. Nothing even remotely close to this. So we just want that so bad for us. And I'm happy for Chargers fans because they got a real one. You know, I'm sick of teams getting spoiled, though. Like, the Chargers are another one of these teams that they've been spoiled for 2 decades now. Now, I know it wasn't the easiest, smoothest paved road for them with Breeze at the beginning, which is what prompted them to draft Phillip Rivers. But they went from Breeze, who really turned it on at the end of his Chargers tenure. They transitioned right into Phillip Rivers. And they transitioned from Rivers now right into Justin Herbert. There's no drop off. There's no layoff. They're laying over these guys. They're overlapping, just like the Colts when they went from Peyton for damn near 2 decades right into Andrew Luck. Now they're gonna have to find somebody, and there may be a little gap there, but there's no gap with the Chargers. It's sickening. There was no gap for the Packers. They went right from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and we've been in the quarterback wilderness for over 30 years. And these teams are just getting spoiled. It's sickening. But I'm happy for the Chargers, man. They got a real one over there. Thank you for the comment, Juan Gotti. JP says, might be time for Anthony Lynn to go. I hope not, man. Because, again, at some point, all of these close losses is going to fall back into the lap of the head coach at some point. But, I mean, when you look at everything that he's had to deal with since he's gotten his job, it's been injury after injury after injury after. And these aren't practice squad guys, or these aren't, minor contributors. These are big-time impact players. Whether you're talking about the safety, Derwin James, this is his second time being hurt like this in 3 years, I believe. Whether you're talking about Boza, who's been banged up, and he looked gassed tonight. Melvin Ingram has been banged up for much of this season. Jones has been banged up. Like, they can't catch a break. I don't know what happened to Nwosu Uchenna tonight, but Nwosu Uchenna is a big-time defender for them. He left this game. Looked like a groin or something close to that. Obviously, Keenan Allen left the game tonight. Like, these things, they start to add up after a while. It's hard to overcome all of these injuries. It's just one after another. And so these impact ball games. And they've done their best to overcome all of these injuries. They've plugged in guys, and it's been this next man up mentality, but at some point it's going to catch up to you. And so it's tough. What do you do when you do everything right and you put your kicker in the field to win you a ball game and he misses? Again, all of that comes with being a head coach. I understand. I totally get it. But it's rough if you're Anthony Lynn. Lurts of Orthanic says, favorite hangover cure, go. I really don't have one. If anything, if I know I'm going to be, getting in some drinks and it could be a rough night, I usually just take an aspirin before. That's my go-to move. But, I don't usually get hangovers because I make sure if I'm drinking heavy, I'm constantly eating something to make sure I soak up that alcohol, especially bread. Pizza is my go-to move. I'll crush, a bunch of pizza, and I'm fine the next day. I don't really do hangovers, but I can knock them back with the best. But I just make sure I eat a lot. JCanman99 says Taylor 1-0, Herbert 0-4. I know that's not the story, but it's a fact. No, that's not the story. It's not the story, and that's not how this goes. Because if Tyrod Taylor, first of all, they should have lost in week 1. They could have lost. If A.J. Green doesn't push off and get OPI, they probably win that football game. I don't know if he needed to push off. That defender was draped all over him. Give your quarterback a chance to fit it in there. Anyway, I digress. If Taylor had been playing these last few weeks, again, it's not like they're losing these games because Justin Herbert has 2 interceptions and a fumble or 3 interceptions. And if Tyrod was in there managing the game as only Tyrod can, they would have won these games. They would have lost these games anyway. And I don't think they would have been as close because Justin Herbert is going over 300 yards every single week. Tyrod Taylor may have gone over 300 yards once or twice in his entire career. So you can try to minimize it and simplify it and say, well, Tyrod Taylor's 1-0 and he's 0-4. I tell you that I look at Justin Herbert and I see it. And if he had guys making plays around him, matching his level of play, he'd be 3-1, 4-0 right now himself. But it's not to be for whatever reason. He's not winning games right now. Lil Lion says, why you think, what did you think about the Taysom TD? I thought it was a great design. Have Kamara, who made a big play to get him down there and was a big fixture on that final drive, have him come and fake the handoff to him, get the defense flowing one way, have him boot out like he's going to throw it. And I think he was intending to throw it initially. You get that action coming across the field. Guys have to honor Taysom Hill as a passer. He threw a pass earlier in the game, even though it was incomplete. Just doing things like that forces the defense to have to respect the fact that he can and will throw it. And because they have to honor him as a quarterback, that allows him to have the opportunity to tuck it and run. And that's really what he wants to do and what he's best at. And so it was a good play call. I just didn't like taking Drew Brees off the field there, but it worked. I'm not going to argue with something that works. I'm not a huge fan of that because you're taking a Hall of Fame player off the field that was getting into a rhythm, and you're bringing a guy essentially cold off the bench and asking him to handle the football and make the right decision in a crucial situation. I'm just not really a big fan of that. But he made the play and cut the lead to 1 point, pending the extra point, and sent the game to overtime. JP says, Herbert looks like the real deal, but my God, are they offensively challenged, especially in close games? They're not offensively challenged with Justin Herbert at quarterback. They put up 31 last week. They put up 27 this week. They're scoring points. The only 2 games that they kind of, struggled to score in was the first 2 with Justin at quarterback. Now, obviously, with Tyrod, you're going to struggle to score because that's just not his thing. They scored 16 in week 1 with Tyrod. They scored 20 in week 2. I believe it was either 20 or 23. I want to say it was 20. And then they scored 16. And that's the one you let slip away. Carolina at the crib. At the time, Carolina was an 0-2 ball club coming in there. You needed to win that football game. You let them come in there. That was the game. That's the only one that I said, if you had Tyrod Taylor, maybe you win that game, because that would have been Black Alex Smith versus Black Alex Smith light. And in order to beat Black Alex Smith, you got to beat him at his own game. And what Justin Herbert tried to do was outsling Teddy. You just needed to outmanage Teddy. And so that was the game with all the turnovers and all the mistakes. You know, Herbert had like 2 or 3 interceptions in that game. He had a fumble in that game. That's the one where if you had Tyrod, maybe you win the game. But outside of that one, this guy's been fantastic. Reese says, damn it, Lou. This was the one game I watched today because I'm under the weather. Well, this was the only game today, Reese, so you didn't miss much. He says, and I've been in bed all day and the Saints ruined it. I hope you feel better, though. I know you were looking for a Saints loss, hoping for a Saints loss. You did not get what you wanted, but I do hope that you feel better sooner rather than later. Reese says, I'm also getting so tired of the goddamn Saints. I wish they would just go away. They're not going anywhere, especially with Drew Brees still under center. Reese says, Justin Herbert looks like a dude who really wanted to be a magician, but his parents made him focus on football. Oh, man. Go ahead. Oh, stop playing, man. He looks like a magician. But his parents said, no, Justin, you're going to play football. Azad Belial says, that's so tough for Herbert, man. He did throw some questionable throws on that last drive, but he still balled. Chargers are cursed. I actually feel bad. It's always in the clutch, too. Yeah, I mean, that's rough. That's he throws a dime on the final throw for him of regulation. That should have resulted, or his second to last throw. He had to throw out of bounds as they tried to get 5 more yards or so for the field goal. You can't ask him to play much better than what he did tonight, especially in the face of pressure. They came after him. They turned the dogs loose on him, and there were a couple of times as he's gearing up to throw. There was one time Mike Williams is open down the field, and if he's got any time to let that go, that's a touchdown. But he gets a shot to the gut as he's letting it go, and it falls 5 yards short of where he was intending it to go. I mean, if he had more time tonight, he would have done even more damage, and some of this was done in the face of pressure. Vincent Cole says, Mike Williams, a.k.a. can't guard Mike. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Apparently, he didn't like the way Chauncey Gardner was guarding him in practice, and so he handled it. Reese says, is Joey Bosa slightly overrated? He's a freak athlete and can be brilliant at times, but he can be taken out of games. No, he's good. He's always dealing with some kind of injury, and that's the biggest thing with Bosa. When he's healthy, he's a dynamic player. You saw it tonight. How many times did he almost hit home? He did get a sack tonight. This guy's phenomenal. Joey Bosa is one of the elite pass rushers in the game. And keep in mind, he's doing it by himself because there's no Ingram on the other side to take some of that attention away from him. Captain Spartan 04 says, I don't know the contract, but Mike Williams needs to leave and become someone's number 1 wide receiver like the Giants. Also, Chargers need a game clincher pass rusher. Bosa is too solid, too much. He's banged up, man. He's fighting and gutting it out, but he needs help, and Ingram's hurt. So, it's tough when you're put in that position and you don't have any help. It's the reason why the Broncos had to go draft Bradley Chubb. You need to have a guy that can take some of the pressure off of your elite pass rusher. Ingram is that guy, but he's not healthy right now. And Nwosu was actually doing a good job, and he got hurt tonight. He was doing a great job. He took Teron Armstead and just bullied him into Drew Brees for a sack. Like, he was getting help from the opposite side, and then he got hurt. So now it's all on Bosa. So I thought he did a good job. He had a sack tonight, had a couple of wins inside, and Brees just got rid of the football just in a nick of time. Like, he's still a top tier pass rusher in this league. I agree with you on Mike Williams. If he's not going to be paid like a true difference making wide receiver, I'm pretty sure he could get paid to become one for someone else out there with the plays that he's able to make on a consistent basis. I don't know if he's a number 1. I think he's a hell of a number 2, though. I question whether he could go somewhere and be his own guy and be a number 1 and lead a receiving core. But you tell me he's my number 2, I'd take him all day long. That guy's phenomenal. He's exactly what you want your big wide receiver to be in this league. He's fast enough to get behind you if you fall asleep behind the wheel, and he's big enough to pose problems in back shoulder fade situations and big boy ball down in the red zone. And then his ability to high point the ball, I think he's the best in the league at going up and getting the football in those types of situations. I don't think anybody does it better than he does. Reese says, I used to say the same thing with my Bucks, Lou. We had so many close losses. You know what I learned, though? A close loss is still a loss. Good teams find a way. You're right. Absolutely 110% spot on. The good teams find a way. And I told you, that's the fine line in this league between being 6-10 and 10-6. The bad teams find a way to lose those games. The good teams find a way to win those games. And they go 10-6, 11-5, and 12-4. Reese says, hey, Lou, I have anxiety about this Packers game my Bucks have on Sunday. If we get healthy and we come into that game relatively at full strength, can we beat Green Bay? Sure you can. Green Bay isn't invincible. You know, Detroit, and I know that's family business. They jumped on them early. Minnesota scored 34, I think it was, in week 1 against them. They can be scored upon. They're not elite in any stretch of the imagination defensively. But if your secondary or if your defense is overzealous, they're going to get a healthy Devontae Adams back. They're going to be tough to deal with. You got to get to Rodgers. That's the biggest thing. Defensively, you've got to get to Rodgers. You got to slow down Aaron Jones. They can't have a two-way go of it. If they're running it successfully and then they can go play action fake off of that, you're in trouble. You have to take something away and make them one-dimensional and then get after Rodgers. It'd be nice to be playing from in front with the lead. If you're playing from behind and they're able to control the game, then they can use their pass rushers against your offensive line that we saw isn't, the best. They could then use their pass rushers to get after your quarterback. And we know Brady isn't going anywhere, so your best bet is to get out in front and be a front runner in this game. If you're playing from behind, you could be in some trouble. Got a couple of super chats. First one is from Silver V, my man Silver Villains. Thank you for the super chat, Silver V, who writes, I get this eerie feeling that Herbert is on the same career path as Matthew Stafford. I know it's early to tell. Am I tripping, Louie T? Yes, you are. I'll tell you this. There's this same kind of dynamic there. And when I look at him, I can see why you would feel that way. But it's too early to say that he's going to be a career loser. Not going to ever play in any meaningful games, put up a bunch of stats that are empty because there aren't any considerable wins in there. I don't think Matthew Stafford's ever won a playoff game. I think he's only been to the playoffs twice in his career. I mean, there's not a lot there. There's a bunch of numbers. I don't think there's a lot of substance there, though, with Matthew Stafford, even though I think he's a hell of a quarterback. It's just, for whatever reason, the team around them, some of the decisions made by the front office haven't been the best during his tenure, and it's really stunted his growth as a quarterback in terms of success. So it's hard to say that that's what's going to happen to Justin Herbert, but I just know he has the size, the arm talent, the athleticism to be a problem in this league for many years to come, and I won't put that Matthew Stafford career on him yet, even though that's a hell of a career to have, passing the football wise, but you want to win games when they matter most. Matthew Stafford hasn't been able to do that. I won't say that it's too early in the career, and as you said, it's too early to tell. So I wouldn't put that on him right now. Von the Villain, thank you for the super chat, Von the Villain, who writes, I knew Herbert was nice. I didn't. I knew he had all the tools to be nice. I didn't know he was going to come in and do what he's doing at such an early point of his career. I thought it was going to take a while, and I'm shocked that he's doing what he's been doing to start his career off. Remember, this guy's first start was an impromptu start in which he thought he was going to be the second quarterback, and he's preparing to be the backup that day, and he realizes he's going to start literally less than 2 hours before game time. And he comes out and throws for 300 yards, throws a touchdown pass, runs for a touchdown pass, and almost defeats the Super Bowl defending champions. Not many rookies are going to do that in their first career start. So this guy has been playing exceptional football, And I think they got themselves a real one in Justin Herbert. Let's see. We left off here with Ree, who says, eventually this Taysom Hill nonsense is going to bite the Saints in the ass. It could. It's done. It has before. You know, like I said, he's turned the ball over twice this year. And I thought it hurt them, even though he arguably the best player on the field last year versus the Vikings in a playoff game. I thought he was on the field too much, but he was the best thing they had last year in that playoff game. Drew Brees did not have a great game. They struggled offensively, and Taysom Hill was their best offense. So, you know, there's a healthy balance, a happy medium, if you will, that they just got to find with this Taysom Hill stuff. And it's not for them overusing it. It's just when you use it. And they got away with it tonight. And I think Peyton's becoming more and more comfortable putting him in the game in these really pressure-packed situations just to see how he does. Emperor Meat says, Chargers defense blew the game, in my opinion. Couldn't get some crucial stops. And if Hill isn't in at quarterback, he's going to run it. Make him pass it. Meanwhile, Herbert did a great job like last week. I agree. The defense had a chance to get a stop up 27-20. They didn't. The defense was up. The offense spotted them a 17-point lead on the road. You'd like them to not stop scoring and feel like, 17 points is enough against a Saints offense that is capable of scoring 30 plus. So you had to know 20 wasn't going to be enough, but they did spot you a 17-point lead. It'd be nice if you didn't surrender, 17 unanswered, but it'd also be nice if the offense scored a field goal or two in that stretch so that 17 unanswered would tie the game up instead of them having a chance to still be ahead. But at the end of the day, it was 27-20. All you needed was one stop. They couldn't get that stop. Saints went down the field, scored the touchdown. You get to overtime. All you need is a stop. Get the football back to your offense. Give them a chance to kick a game-winning field goal. They weren't able to do it. They got the stop to force a field goal, which is big. Got the football back to the offense, but you would like them to not score at all. At the end of the day, the defense wasn't terrible. They had opportunities, but this is a winnable game, and I put this squarely in the lap of the field goal kicker. Make a kick. You missed 2 big kicks tonight. Make your kicks. You can get paid to just do a job. It's inside, controlled environment. You have to worry about the wind or any of that stuff. Make the kick. He missed. Reese says, everyone talks about Justin Herbert, but whoever is calling and designing these plays for the Chargers deserve props. They are finding ways to get guys open. They are. And I love when teams get under center. This whole shotgun phenomenon that's taken over the league is trash because you could do so much more. If you notice, it's not a coincidence. If you look around the league, the teams that are having the most success are the teams that go under center. Seattle, Green Bay, the Rams. When you look at Tampa Bay, when you look at the teams that are high octane that can score, and Cleveland, when you look at the teams that are having real success, it's the teams that get under center. And because under center gives you so many options, so many different things you can do schematically to put a defense at a disadvantage when you go under center. It's so much harder to design a good run game out of the gun. It's so much harder to be as effective with play action fake and things of that nature out of the gun. It just takes away so much of your offense when you're consistently in the gun. And I think one of the beautiful things watching this offense and watching some of these other offenses around the league is when they go play action fake and they turn their back to the defense and it looks like a run and everybody sucks up and then that quarterback looks downfield and he sees this guy streaking wide open and lets it rip. And you want to know, how did that guy get so wide open? It's because of the play action fake. It's because of the play action fake. Now, sometimes it's a guy with poor eye discipline. You saw that on the touchdown on Patrick Robinson. Just poor eye discipline. Allow Mike Williams up the sideline unmolested. But I just think teams under center have a much better a much better chance of being dynamic offensively because there's so many different things you can do. You know, the Raiders are another team that play from under center and do a phenomenal job. I just think under center gives you more options, and I think the Chargers are one of those teams that do a really good job of doing that. And it's funny because I criticized them and I was crucifying them early in the season because they were going to start Tyrod Taylor and they were going to score a bunch of points this year. And even when Herbert took over, they still were having problems scoring the ball those first 2 weeks. And now all of a sudden, he's gotten more and more comfortable. They're starting to design some plays that get him outside the pocket, get him on the move. They're using some of this speed that they have, this newfound speed that they have with some of these guys. They're dialing up some deep shots, and he's not missing. He's throwing a very feathery, soft deep ball, man. This thing is falling out of the sky. He's playing phenomenal football. And you're right, the play calling, Todd Steichen deserves a little bit of credit for what he's doing right now. Reese says, remember when these used to be, he said, remember when these used to go 2, 3, sometimes close to 4 hours? We just start shooting and shit and veering away off of football. Yeah. My life has changed so drastically. Don't have time for that anymore. But yeah, I remember when these could get out of control. Gregory Lightbody says, heard the rumor, Redskins looking for a rookie quarterback. I just hope it's not Fields. I don't trust Ohio State quarterbacks. You have every right to feel that way about Ohio State quarterbacks. Not a single one has had success. I can't recall ever having a Ohio State quarterback come in the league and have success ever. So I totally get that. But they're definitely going to be looking this offseason, whether it's a rookie or Ron Rivera is more comfortable going with a veteran. They're going to do something at quarterback, that's for sure. Azad Belial says, it also helps that Herbert went into a great situation with a great roster. If the Chargers aren't a playoff team next year, I'll be surprised, especially when Derwin James comes back. It does help when you go to a roster that is pretty talented. They've got some good stuff out there. I don't always love their receiver position, but I think KJ Hill is going to be just fine out there. And I love Hunter Henry. They got to bring him back. He is a free agent this offseason. Remember, he's playing under the franchise tag. But you're right. There's a lot of talent out there, man. A lot of talent, for sure. JP says that Chargers defense really misses Derwin James. Yeah, he's a big part of what they wanted to do. They also miss a number of guys, including Drew Tranquill. Like, this defense is so banged up. This is not the defense that they had penciled in when they got to training camp. They thought that they were going to be loaded on that side of the football, and they've just been decimated by injuries. Gregory Lightbody says, I want Thursday Night Football so bad, but the Titans messed it up. That they did. And that was going to be such an epic game. I mean, 2 weeks in a row of having some big boy football. We got Bears 3-1, Bucks 3-1 this past Thursday, and we were going to get 4-1 versus potentially 5-0, maybe 4-1 Bills, depending on what happens tomorrow night. But we were going to get an awesome game, and now we're not. Azad Bilal says, man, do you really say I digress? It's like your catchphrase, huh? He says, man, you really do say I digress. I do say it a lot. It's a nice, easy transition for me. Maybe I have to find something else to say. It's starting to become a real thing now. But I digress. Lords of Orthanic says, Chargers have Jets next week. They can finally catch a break. Absolutely. If they can't beat the Jets, it's going to be a really, really long season for them. That's one of those games they have to find a way to win. Gregory Lightbody says, Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, do you think Tua will be as good as them? I'm a Joe Burrow guy. I'm still a Joe Burrow guy. And Tua has a chance to be just as, if not better than them. Remember what Tua was before the injury. So I'm a Herbert. I mean, I'm a Joe Burrow guy, but Herbert has won me over. I was not a Justin Herbert guy at all whatsoever going into this process, and he has totally changed my way of viewing him as a quarterback at this level. Reese says, Lou, I heard Alex Smith got in y'all's last game. I'm so happy for him. He did. It was not pretty, but it was good to see him get out there and kind of close that chapter on that whole saga. You get tired of the media asking about Alex Smith. Can he play? Is he healthy enough? would you put him in a game? Well, all of those can be put to bed now. He got in a game. He got hit a lot. So we know he's capable of playing in an NFL game. And if he gets put in again, we won't all be holding our collective breaths anymore. Maybe some people will, but at this point now, I think he's fine out there, and you just move on now. Azad Bilal says, also, Mike Williams is so underrated. He's one of the best contested ball wide receivers in the NFL. Couldn't have said it any better and couldn't agree with you any more. JP says, I feel so bad for the Chargers and their fans, injury after injury and blown lead after blown lead year after year. They need a coach who won't take his foot off of the gas on offense. I don't even know if that's what's happening here with their head coach, Anthony Lynn. I don't think there's a take your foot off the gas pedal mentality. A lot of times they're just in close ball games. It's not like they're up big like Dan Quinn when he was with the Falcons and they're just blowing leads and he's taking his foot off the gas pedal. This is a situation where they just play close games. That's who they are as a team. They just got to find a way to win them. Gregory Lightbody says, people are really blaming Herbert for the loss because of the last two throws. I don't know how. I just don't understand how you could pin this loss on a rookie who played the way that Herbert played tonight and gave his team a chance. They shouldn't have even been in overtime. The guy did his job. He was phenomenal tonight. And anybody blaming Herbert for the game, for the loss, then they don't actually understand how this game works. JP says, when the game got to 20-3, Chargers, I was about to sing the murder song. I didn't think they were I didn't think the Saints were gonna allow this thing to get out of control, but I didn't think they were. I'm gonna be honest with you. When it was 20-3, I didn't think they could stop this Chargers offense consistently enough to come back and win this game. And then to make matters worse, I actually thought the Chargers defensively were playing really good ball. I mean, no big plays really given up. Everything was underneath, dink and dunk. They were having to matriculate their way down the field. There weren't a bunch of big chunk plays until they gave up the Jared Cook touchdown. For the most part, everything was underneath, and they had to find ways to nickel and dime their way down the field. So I didn't think that they were going to win this game, but they chipped away, just kept chipping away, and ultimately tied this thing up at 20. Got it to overtime and stole it from the Chargers. Gregory Lightbody says, you're right. Herbert does make me jealous as a Skins fan, but he has a line and wide receivers and tight end. Always helps. Always helps when let's pause a little bit on the offensive line thing. Sam Tevy was his starting left tackle tonight. Let's not get too carried away with the whole offensive line discussion. They're not trash out there, but they're not elite either. He's an athlete. And when you have an athlete at quarterback, you can make up for having a line that isn't always at its best. And so that's what we were missing with Dwayne Haskins. He refused to run this year. He just stood back there and made the line look pedestrian at times instead of getting out and helping his line out. And that's why I like Kyle Allen back there, because I know if things break down, he'll be able to try to make something happen off schedule. That's a necessity now in today's NFL. Out are the Bradys and the Phillip Rivers of the world and Drew Brees. Out are those guys. In are the new wave of quarterbacks, the guys that can make something happen when the play breaks down or when the protection isn't at its best. These guys can still make something happen off schedule. The days of the guy that sits back in the pocket and needs you to protect him are almost extinct. Those guys are dinosaurs now. That's why you're not seeing any more pocket passers. That's why a guy like Jacob Eason was looked at as an afterthought in this year's draft. Despite having all the tools necessary, they're like, you're a pocket passer. We don't do those in the league anymore. You're a dinosaur. You're a fossil. So you got to be able to make something happen. And Herbert can. JP says, Mike Thomas is the biggest B in the league. Punching a teammate? Are you effing kidding me? If I was Sean Payton, I would have sent his ass home for the season. You can't necessarily do that, but I thought he was right, because I know there are some teams out there that may not have done what he did tonight, which is suspend the guy for a game. The Ravens, that was the last straw with them and Earl Thomas, if you recall, in the offseason, where he got into it with a teammate, and he was sent home and ultimately released. Michael Thomas, was essentially sat down for this game because of some behavior detrimental to the team. And I thought that was a big move by Sean Payton. One of your best players, make an example out of them and let them know that this is not okay. We don't do this to guys on our team. Reese says, Mike Williams, best in the league at catching in traffic, not as long as Mike Evans is still playing football. In traffic, I don't know if Evans is better at getting a 50-50 ball. Now, making a contested catch, there are a bunch of guys that make contested catches in this league. I don't think anybody's better at making a contested catch than Michael Thomas in this league, or DeAndre Hopkins for that matter. Those two are separate issues. Those are the guys that on 3rd and 7 with the guy draped on their back, I'll throw it to them, and 9 times out of 10, I expect them to catch it. I don't feel that way about Mike Williams or Mike Evans, but I'm talking 50-50 ball, catching it at its highest point. There's nobody in the league better than Mike Williams. I'll stake my claim on that. Now, you're talking contested catches. I'm going with Michael Thomas, and DeAndre Hopkins. Gregory Lightbody says, we might be the worst team in the East. No way we beat the Giants with Kyle Allen against their defense. The Giants' defense is okay. It's not great. They're better than what we thought they were going to be, but let's not get carried away. Kevin, the PRF, says, Keenan Allen would be perfect for Washington. He can't stay healthy. He's such a good receiver, though. And he's been healthy the last few years. I think that narrative is getting a little old with him about injuries. It's unfortunate he got hurt tonight. Early in his career, he couldn't stay healthy. He's been healthy the last few years. But I don't know the severity of this injury, but anytime you start talking about a back, I told you the neck and the back are the two things I get a little bit worrisome when you start talking to me about somebody's back or their neck. We got 3 minutes left in the show tonight. Kevin, the PRF, says, only digressed once before the call out. Vegas wins this stream. Take the under from now on. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to make sure I'm cognizant of those digresses moving forward. And with that, I think we got through every comment. And so I'm going to glide to the side, man. I thank you guys for joining me on what was another good football game. We've been getting some quality primetime games. I think all 3 of the primetime games we got this week have been phenomenal. You started off with Bears and Bucks. That goes down to the last drive of the game. You then progress to Sunday night with the Vikings and the Seahawks. Russ leads his team back and wins that one by a point. And then you get this game tonight that goes to overtime. So we'll see if the Bills and Titans can finish up what was a tremendous week of primetime television with a good game on Tuesday night. We're going to get some Tuesday night football for the first time. Who knew? So we'll see how that goes. But I thank you guys for joining me. Really appreciate you chopping it up with me late night as the New Orleans Saints get over 500 again at 3-2 with a 30-27 victory in overtime over the Los Angeles Chargers. Just another hard-fought, tough loss for the Chargers. They didn't deserve to lose this game. Justin Herbert played well enough to win. Should have won. Their kicker, Michael Badgley, missed an extra point, which was the difference in regulation, and then missed a game-winning field goal at the end of regulation that would have given his team the win from 50 yards out as he clanked the upright, and no good. They lose in overtime, and a game-winning tackle by Marshawn Lattimore, who struggled mightily tonight. He went from GOAT to hero with that tackle on a 4th and 5, tackling Mike Williams just a half yard short of the line to gain. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you for joining me. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not, I repeat, not the best NFL coverage it could be. Until next time, you guys take care, stay safe, and have a good one. We'll reconvene tomorrow night for Bills Titans. Until then, you guys take care, have a good one.